Now, we're also joined now by Dr. James Diaz. He's a professor in the LSU School of Public Health and Environmental Occupational Health as well. Dr. Diaz, it's so good to see you and talk to you. Wish it was under better circumstances, but I want to ask you about this chemical, naphtha. Of course, this smoke is coming out right now, and a lot of folks are concerned about this chemical coming out. Are you concerned at all? And if so, kind of tell us why.
Yes, I'm concerned. First of all, naphtha is a short name for naphthalene, and it's an impurity in crude oil that has to be refined out. That's why we call it a crude oil refinery. And people who've been around a long time, like me, know that naphtha or naphthalene was used to make mothballs. So it has a certain smell, and it is easily aerosolized into the atmosphere. It's a hydrocarbon, and it can be breathed in. And there are other hydrocarbons that are probably in this smoke plume as well as particulates. So breathing in the particulates in crude oil as well as some of the hydrocarbon chemicals in crude oil like naphtha can be very dangerous, especially for people who have pre-existing heart disease, pre-existing lung disease, and asthma, especially heart disease. Particulates have been associated with an increased risk of myocardial infarction. So we want everyone to heed the evacuation warnings and also to continue to monitor the news, because as we monitor this smoke plume on radar, we can tell exactly where it's going. It looks like it's going to the west now. We have a light west wind. We have no rain and very hot and dry conditions, which are not good things when we have a smoke plume like this. We have no rain to wash it down to the ground. We have a light wind, so the smoke plume will stay in one place for a long period of time. So people have to heed evacuation orders, and they may change as this plume begins to move, even after the fire is put out.
About what people should be doing to better protect themselves if they think that they've been exposed or just want to make sure that they're doing everything they can to be cautious of this chemical that you mentioned?
Well, if they're within this radius of evacuation, they should actually leave. But before they leave, they should definitely put their heating and cooling system, their air conditioning system on recirculate, so they're not sucking in any pollutants from the outside. Now, if you're outside of the evacuation zone, you still need to be monitoring the news so that we're following on radar where this plume is going, because it could pass over you if you're to the west of the refinery. It could cross the river and pass over you. So you want to know that. So evacuation orders could change, or if you're in a zone where the plume is passing over after a period of time, you may be ordered to shelter in place, not go out, just put your air conditioning system on recirculate.
Now, Dr. Diaz, we did hear from officials that the chemicals surrounding that tank is what's causing this fire right now, not within the tank, but the chemicals surrounding it. Do you believe that the tank itself could catch fire?
Well, when you visit these plants, and I used to work at several of them, you will find that these tanks are surrounded by dams. And the dam is meant, if there's a leak, to collect all of the chemicals and allow the firefighting teams to get to this area surrounding the tanks and put the fire out. Now, can the chemicals themselves, once they've leaked out of the tank, catch fire? Yes, they can. Most of these chemicals are volatile, and I mean, they come from crude oil. They're components of crude oil and will burn. So all of these hydrocarbons are flammable.
Thank you, doctor. Can you also just describe the smell of this chemical, maybe for people that are outside of that 2-mile radius? What would something like this be smelling like right now?
Well, there are a number of chemicals, but the one that they were concerned about was naphtha, and I said that that's a short name for naphthalene. And we used to make mothballs out of naphthalene. We don't make mothballs out of naphthalene anymore because they were dangerous. If a child swallowed the mothball, they could get poisoned by the mothball. So people who remember that sort of smell may get that if there's a lot of naphtha in the smoke plume. There are other chemicals. We have to remember that there are many chemicals and particulates in crude oil that we have to refine out. And there are some other chemicals in crude oil that people may smell because they're accustomed to smelling these chemicals. And they include things like benzene, which is the smell that you have when you fill your car with gasoline. So that's another very common smell that people are used to smelling. So if you smell something like gasoline or benzene when you fill your car in the atmosphere, or if you smell something like naphthalene or mothballs in the atmosphere, and if you see black smoke coming over your residence in the atmosphere, you know that there are a lot of particulates in that smoke. That's why it's black. The hydrocarbons are actually clear in color. The volatile chemicals are clear in color. So that smoke has a lot of particulates in it.
Dr. James Diaz, the professor at LSU School of Public Health and Occupational Health Services, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your insight on the situation. We're hoping that they can continue to get this contained and make sure folks are staying safe. So Dr. Diaz, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.